very interesting aspects of what went on into the creation of this constitution. We're covered in that. I'm going to talk about Rashid Ghannouchi. If you're here tonight, you know how important his career has been and how important his life has been to the development of Tunisian politics and Islamic thought beyond Tunisia, across the Muslim world, and beyond in the 20th and 21st century. A lot of accolades have been showered on him. He's one of the world's leading Islamic thinkers, writing on Islam and modernity, democracy and secularism, relations between East and West, human rights and civil society. He was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world in 2012, and Foreign Policy's top 100 global thinkers in 2012, and he won the Chatham House Prize from the UK in 2012. All of these events that we're talking about. One person called him the Nelson Mandela of the Arab world. Although I'm not sure he would like that description, because none of what I just said is what Mr. Ghannouchi is about. I emailed several friends of mine and said I was speaking tonight, and I said, what stands out for you? And all the responses I got back from Tunis, from Germany, from elsewhere, talked about his humility. It's the first thing that stands out, and it's been very visible this week, yesterday and today at the events, that he, as everyone thanks him for his role, he's the first to point out the important role that all the others played in Tunisian civil society across the Tunisian political spectrum. A lot also of analysts have pointed out the tension between the movement he started and the party he started, or the tension between his role as a political leader and his role as a thinker and a social movement person. But I don't think that's really the tension. I think that shows the multifaceted nature of what he's contributed to Tunisia. It's also very interesting that as everyone grabbed a position in various transitional governments in Tunisia, the person probably most in a position to take a position didn't take a position. He took no office for himself because he felt he could play a better role in the background, helping mediate the various things we're hearing about. I also looked back at some of the writings that he made in the early days, wondering if there'd been an evolution. And it's astounding if you look at the texts from the early 80s, for example, where he's saying precisely the same things he's saying now about the importance of democracy and the link between true Islam and true democracy. For example, in one of his books he wrote, I believe it was 1984, the flaws inherent in the liberal democratic system should never be used as a pretext for rejecting it, for there is no alternative out there to democracy except dictatorship. And incomplete freedom is always better than no freedom at all. And to be governed by a despotic order that is at the whim and desire of a tyrant. He champions democracy in a way that you don't hear from other thinkers of his genre, in a way that astounded the audience at Georgetown today, who started calling him secular. What was different about his movement if he was so democratic? It's been interesting to see people grapple with the depth of his philosophical thinking on these issues. The last thing I would like to quote him on is something he said yesterday at USIP, as people began to talk about the accomplishments of the Tunisian transition, and as they started to congratulate him, his answer was, one flower does not make a spring. And I think that's a very profound observation that, yes, we are at the beginning of a road here, and we have only begun to accomplish everything that Tunisia can become. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Now I'd like to also ask an old and dear friend of me personally and also of Tunisia, Mr. Lord Krainer, who was president of IRI and also was Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights and Labor during 2004 to 2006, something like that, and he dealt with Tunisia as one of the countries that he worked on So perhaps he can tell us a little bit about his views back then and his opinions and his